Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Thursday.
Good morning. How are you, Bob?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I cannot complain. It's a nice Thursday morning and ready to get at it today.
You and me both. Big day. So much going on.
Well, there's always a lot going on almost every day. Just maybe not always for us, for someone. Anyhow, welcome everyone. Good morning. This is today's Antidote, where we have a conversation around a topic for the week, and we try to provide that one thing, the one thing that will help you move forward and help you find your own unique pathway to success. And at the end, we're going to provide one thing that will be beneficial for you, maybe today, and likely some other time down the road. So if you would like to add some comments, we would love to have that because it enhances our show. And if you have a one thing that you'd like to share about our topic, which this week is patience, please feel free to put it in the comments because we know that it will benefit someone else who is looking for that information that you're going to share in the way you're going to share it. So, Bob, our topic this week is patience.
That's the fourth time you've said that.
Okay, I didn't realize that, but I've said it 4 times that's the topic.
You've said that 4 times.
Huh, interesting. Before we get to our topic, which I won't say again, this will be the 5th time. Let's tell them about some of the events that we have going on in May.
Hey, be patient. We'll get to the topic. But first, hey, we've got a great event coming up on Thursday, May 27th. You do not want to miss the Renegade Roundup networking event, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you're planning your week out, I got to tell you, the Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time Ring of Renegades check-in, check-up is one of my favorite activities. We had one yesterday, met a lovely new person, had some great discussion, and people were taking copious notes about each other and talking about how they could do business together. And while it was a group of, I think, 5 or 6 of us, there was some real business going on. And that's my favorite thing in the whole world. When people get together in our events and go, hey, I need to talk to you. Or do you do this because I need this? That is like, if you want to talk about what makes me excited, that is the thing, that we can provide this forum where people can actually help each other. It's just awesome.
More than talking about the events themselves?
More than talking
excited about that.
I do. You got me.
It's all right. It's good to be excited about multiple things. You don't have to be just excited about one thing.
Someone asked me about 2 weeks ago if I write that script and read a script. I was like, are you kidding me? Really? You think I read a script?
Well, and if you do, you're a very poor reader because it's never the exact same thing. So.
That's exactly it.
So there might be a script. You're just not choosing to read it.
There's no script that I know of. I don't work well with scripts.
Yeah, me neither.
A couple of years ago, I was offered the opportunity to do some training for a company, and they said, so what we need you to come in and do is read the script. And it's like a 7-hour script. And the first couple of times you can read it, and then we want you to memorize it. And I was like, no, thank you.
Yeah, that's hard.
I'm not your person. I'm like, what would happen if I deviated with one of my own stories? Oh, that would be bad. Okay.
I think I've heard your stories before.
Tom's on fire today.
Ooh, all right. So before we get too far along that path, we probably should move forward with our topic for today for the 5th time, which is patience. And on Monday, we talked a little bit about what it was. We talked a little bit about the value of it. We talked yesterday about, can you have too much? And I thought that was a really fascinating discussion. Mm-hmm. So today we're going to talk about its virtue. everybody says patience is a virtue. And so I guess we will have that conversation to figure out if we believe patience is a virtue. So why don't you dive in on that, Bob? What do you think? Is patience a virtue?
A certain level of patience is a virtue. But as Tim said to us yesterday in a comment, he said that if patience is leading to inaction, that's when you run into trouble. And as I think about when I've been patient, sometimes my patience has just been inaction. Like I don't want to do something, I don't know how to do something, or I'm afraid that if I do it, I will do it wrong or poorly. So then it's like, well, I'm waiting for it to figure itself out. I'm giving it time, and I'm being inactive in that. That to me is the downside. The upside of patience is that, and I wrote this in a comment to your LinkedIn post yesterday, that, how many times if we had called that person one more time, would they have been our client? How many times if we had continued them on our email list or spoken to them at the networking event for 90 seconds more, but instead we're like, yeah, you're boring me, I got to go. We didn't say that, but we're like, oh, I got to get to another meeting. And we blew out of there really quick. To me, that's where the virtue of patience is seeing things through to their logical end, not imposing the control of an end for some random reason.
I like
How
that.
was that? That was a lot. I
That
couldn't
was a
tell you
lot.
what I just said.
Well, it's recorded, so you can always go back and watch it again.
Okay.
I think that you were talking about inaction, and the patience that leads to inaction is when it becomes not beneficial. And I guess I would say that I don't think that's patience. I think that is delaying because you think the results are going to come. Some result you expected was going to happen. I think, how many times do you know someone who has had this huge opportunity in front of them and they think, okay, this is it. This is my ticket. And so they just stop doing everything else. Well, I don't want to do that because when I get this contract, agreement, grant, whatever, I won't have time to do all that other stuff. So they put all of that on hold. And I think that if that is the patience you're talking about, then I think you're correct that it could be. That is not patience. That is not having to be a virtue and helpful for you. To me, it's about, I think, waiting for the result and being comfortable that the result is going to happen because someone else has to make a decision. And the decision could be not to make a decision. So, you may not ever get the result you're going to get. Have you ever put a proposal in front of a client and then they never hear from them again? I'm sure we've all dealt with some of those things. Mm-hmm. And, you would say that you're being too patient and you should follow up and follow up and follow up. And maybe. I think it's going to depend on each situation, because sometimes if you become impatient and start doing more follow-up, that just becomes an annoyance to the person rather than allowing them to choose. Like, when is it the right time for them to make that decision? And so I think you have to be cautious about how do you keep connected and engaged with them without beating them over the head of, hey, you haven't signed my contract yet.
So you mean the person that I was talking to a couple of months ago about doing some business together and said to me, hey, it's the last day of the month. I really would like to nail this down with you and get you to give me your credit card so that I can get my commission?
Yeah.
Probably not. And there's a great case of impatience. Sure. That turned me off and I hit the road. Had he sat around for another 2, 3, 4 days, he'd be making money. I wanted to use the product, but once he was that way, I'm like, yeah, that gives me a bad taste in my mouth. And that's where I get that he wanted to make his full commission for the month. I'm not arguing that, but that's not my concern.
Correct. He was trying to control the outcome for something that would benefit him, rather than understanding that you were going to control the outcome because it was your decision to make, and that he could choose to be patient. Now, he could share that with you. Hey, you know what? If it's just a matter of this or that or what other, this just as an FYI, this is what's going on. Don't let that influence you. But
Right.
if you were thinking about it, this could be a benefit for me.
And if we developed a relationship.
Correct. If they were, if someone was out saying, hey, you know what, I'm just putting it out there, I'm trying to reach this goal. And, if anyone else is out there and is really looking, now would be a great time, not only because of it would benefit you, and I'm trying to achieve a goal. And if someone wanted to help me, that'd be great. Typically, I think we save those things for the people we are closest to, who would potentially choose that, oh, okay, I'll make that decision now. I was probably going to do it anyways, but why not do it now? Because I see how it could also benefit someone else.
Right. But there's an example. Is that impatience on his part, or is that him provoking a sale? And for some people, they would jump at that. And the other thing is, I don't really know if that commission thing is real.
Correct. Right. That could be a sales trick.
Like, hey, you know what? If you get near the end of the month, do this. I don't know, but the whole thing left a bad taste in my mouth because it just proved to me that he wasn't in it to help me. He was in it for his own reasons. And while, I'm not going to lie, when I do business, I am in it for me.
Sure.
But that's not my priority. I want you to be satisfied before I'm satisfied. And if I ever construed things in a way that you would think otherwise, that would be very upsetting to me.
Well, right. I think because, again, you were trying to control the situation for your benefit, not, let them control their own situation for their own benefit. And I think that's where, as I think about it being a virtue, that's why I think patience is a virtue, because you stop thinking about what's most beneficial for you, and you really start to think about what's most beneficial for the people around you or whoever you're doing business with, working with in that situation. It's like, yeah, if I'm standing in line at Disney and it's been an hour, the best thing for me is to be able to cut to the front of the line and move forward, clear everybody else out. Not sure how much that helps everybody else.
Yeah.
And probably is not people are going to look at me like, who is that guy? And who does he think he is? But it's interesting. You ever have that with cars that like fly by you and cut in front of you and do all this? And you're like, well, I guess he feels like wherever he's going or she's going is more important than wherever I'm headed to. So sure, go ahead.
I like when they ride down the shoulder of a highway.
Yes.
I experienced that the weekend driving back from Williamsburg to Baltimore through DC.
If you were
coming up I-95, the road was stopped. We're sitting there not moving. Cars are zooming up the two shoulders.
Because they have somewhere more important to go than you do.
Until they got to a police car.
Yeah.
And then there was a line of cars on the side of the road.
Thus, having patience might have been more beneficial.
Yes, very much so. All right, so Tom, we're a little short today, but that's not a bad thing. What's your one thing when we talk about patience and its virtue?
I think why patience is a virtue is because it is more about someone else than it is about us. And I think that when I think about what are things that are virtuous, a lot of them have to do with when we stop thinking about our own self-interest and consider someone else's self-interest or someone else's interest. And that to me is one of the things that patience does, is it allows us to set aside our needs and wait for it to happen, if it's going to happen, and allow others who are in control. And we have given them that control by asking them to do something, to purchase something, to take a role in our team, to make a decision at the time that is most beneficial for them. Anytime we start to do that, that to me is when that action becomes more virtuous. And so that to me is my patience, because I think we are holding off whatever gratification we might get for whenever the timing is right.
You and I spent way too much time together, Tom. You pretty much, the first 4 sentences you said were almost word for word what I was going to say.
Wow.
I know. That's never happened.
It's only taken 316 episodes.
That's right.
People had a lot of patience. If they've been paying attention to 316 episodes, for us to kind of be on the exact same page, they really have patience.
Although, if you remember when we started, we got some really good feedback from someone saying you can't always agree with each other.
Yeah,
remember that?
I do remember that.
That was really good.
Scripted.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll disagree. No.
With yourself?
Sure. I'll do that
So, Tom, I think it's probably time to wrap up. We'll give people access to their Thursday morning, a little extra time. And, not to say that topic isn't as important as any other topic. We're not shortening our discussion for any other reason. Then we covered it. And I think we've come to agreement that it is a virtue because it's about showing that other person that you're putting their needs ahead of yours.
Yeah, and I would say that is a trait of a renegade, right? I mean, I think we all doing our own unique thing, and we understand that everyone else is doing the same. And so we have to allow them to travel their pathway, which then allows us to travel our own. And I think that that for those people who don't value that and feel like their needs are more important than someone else, I would consider that person not a renegade.
Tom has pronounced who is and isn't a renegade. There you have it. I hope you all make the cut. If you don't, see me. I'm going to start a group for former renegades that Tom doesn't deem appropriate. We'll call it the non-renegades group.
Yes. Yeah, that's okay. I'm all right with that. You know what? I can't please everyone.
I picture someone sending me a message and going, "Where's the link for that other group?"
You're probably right. You would actually be the real renegades, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Not listening to what I had to say.
Exactly.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. If you have your own thoughts about patience and whether it's a virtue or not, please feel free to share it in the comments or share it inside the Ring of Renegades Facebook group, where we have been talking about this all week. And I know there are polls and various things that talk around patience. So please feel free to join in. If you are not yet a member of the Ring of Renegades, please go to Facebook, search for Ring of Renegades, and then just ask to join. It's a private group, so you do have to tell us why you're a renegade, and you have to ask to join so that we can provide the right space, so that people who are trying to take their own next step, create their own unique pathway, and want to do that with the help and support of others can do that. So we hope you will join us there. If not, we will see you tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time, for our next edition of today's Antidote. And as we wrap up today, here is some further information about the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. Have a great day, everyone.
Carving your own path is tough. You want and need a community to offer you insights and advice, share inspiration, provide support, and save you time and money. But where do you find all that? Here's the easy answer: the Ring of Renegades Facebook group, where leaders, entrepreneurs, and business owners identify their next steps. Here's some of what you will find at the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. Just go to ringofrenegades.com and join today. Find and accomplish those next steps.